Okay, this is angle pairs, part 1. The second part's going to be really short, but this part is going to be just a little bit longer. There's a lot of vocab, but we're going to be working on some things. So this is just a reminder. If you have questions, go ahead and jot them in the notes on the margin and ask me tomorrow during class. And if you need to pause and rewind it, good. Go for it. Do it. Take control of your own education. Okay, so angle pairs. This is from section 1.4. Okay, a couple of vocab things. Adjacent angles and linear pairs. I'm going to take some time right now to draw the diagrams of these. You don't have to necessarily draw those right now. Go ahead and pause it and write down these two vocab things, and I will go ahead and draw the diagrams. So here's what we're talking about when we're talking about adjacent angles. Adjacent means they're in the same plane with a common vertex and a common side, but no common interior points. And so when I'm talking about adjacent angles, this isn't something that we haven't seen before because they look like this. And what I'm going to do to make this abundantly clear is I'm going to put 1 and 2. So then what I'm going to say is angle 1 and angle 2 are adjacent to one another. Notice, they're next to one another, but they don't overlap. They share this common side, okay? Common side, but they don't necessarily have any common interior points. A linear pair is much the same way, except it's really spread out. They're two opposite rays. So how I'm going to illustrate that is like this, okay? Two opposite rays, and angles 3 and 4 are going to be a linear pair. Notice, linear is the same as it's still adjacent, but they just form opposite rays. So angles 3, angle 4, are a linear pair. Okay? Angle 3 and 4 are a linear pair. So they form a linear pair. Okay? Now, identifying angle pairs. Tell whether the angles are only adjacent, and form a linear pair, or not adjacent. Okay? So the first one, we're going to be doing angles 1 and 2. Well, let's look at 1 and 2. 1 and 2 sort of look like this, here and here. If I were to draw that flipped around kind of, wouldn't it kind of look like this? Okay? And so if we look back to our two options, which one does it look more like? Well, they certainly don't form opposite rays, so it must be adjacent angles. Okay? What about 2 and 4? Are 2 and 4 even connected? Let's look. 2's up here, 4's down here. They aren't even next to each other. Notice both of these deal with adjacent, next to one another. Well, these aren't next to each other. And so we're going to say not adjacent. Okay? They are not adjacent. What about 1 and 3? I'm going to go ahead and clear this off for right now so that we can see a little bit better. Okay? Now, 1 and 3. I'm going to highlight something here for you. Notice, angle 1 and angle 3, they form a line. So I'm going to call these a linear pair. And they're still adjacent angles. They're still adjacent, but they are a linear pair because they form a line. Okay? It's going to be very important that we remember a linear pair in our vocabulary because that's going to come up later. It's going to be very important for things like standardized tests to get into college. Okay? The next part. Something for you to do on your own. Much the same format, but yet a different graphic to go with it. So why don't you go ahead and pause here and see if you can do it. It's very important that when you're watching these videos, you're pausing when you don't understand something. Don't simply just go on. Don't fast forward to the next slide. Take a look at it. Take control of your education. See what you can do with it and give it a shot. Okay? Go ahead and pause it here. I'm going to come back and explain these. Okay, we are back. Let's look at 5 and 6. 5 and 6. Notice this line being formed here. So they're going to be adjacent and a linear pair. Okay, an adjacent linear pair. Angle 7. So here's angle 7. And what is angle SPU? Well, SPU goes like this. So angle 7 is inside of SPU. Well, notice what that does for us. Don't we have some points in here that are shared between SPU and 7? And remember, we can't have adjacent angles that share points. And so these are going to be not adjacent because they share common points. They're not adjacent because they share common points. What about 7 and 8? I'm going to erase once again and get this cleared off so we can see a little bit better. 7 and 8. So we're talking about this angle here and this angle here. Well, they're not next to one another, or are they? They seem to be next to one another. But remember, they must be not adjacent because they don't share a common side. This ray here is not common to both. They each have two distinct sides, and if they don't share a common side, they cannot be adjacent angles. So these are not adjacent. So they don't share a side. And the one before they had common points. So I'm going to give you just a little reason there why those things are the way that they are. Okay? For those of you who are visual out there. Now, a couple more vocabulary things. Complementary angles. Two angles whose measures have a sum of 90 degrees. There's a couple of different types of measurements that we talk about a lot in geometry. 90 is one of them. 180 is one of them. Complementary. 90 degrees. They go together. So we would say that A and B. Angle A. And it's named angle A because its vertex is A. This one's called angle B because its vertex is B. If you put those together, 37 degrees plus 53 degrees is 90 degrees. Okay, that's our key for complementary. Supplementary, they add up to 180. So let's look. If we take some red here and we look at angle A and C, A and C, it's named because of its vertex. We have 53 plus 127, and that's going to be 180 for us. These are good things, 180 degrees. What's a good way to remember these? Well, let's look for a second. Complementary. And here's how I traditionally might tell you to remember these two things. If you're not the type of person that can just straight memorize things, which you may not be, that's fine, and you need a little bit of a verbal cue or a visual clue, look at what happens here. If I took the C in complementary and I just added a tail, wouldn't it be a 9 for 90? And if I took the S in supplementary and I just added a little tail, wouldn't it be an 8? So complementary, they're 90. Supplementary, they're 180. So the 8 is in there, and the 9 is in here. Okay? That's kind of a way you can remember them if you have trouble actually just rote memorizing that. Okay? To find the complement or the supplement. Suppose that the measure, remember this M means measure, of angle A was 10 degrees. The complement of A, would be 90 minus 10 equal to 80. Well, this is just a general form saying it doesn't really matter what the angle is, because 90 minus x is going to give us the complement, and 180 minus x is going to give us the supplement. Okay? So that was just a little bit of an example. In the next three, we're going to be using this formula to find the actual complement and supplement. So if m is 26.8, we should say to ourselves, 90 minus 26.8 is equal to, now you can punch this into your calculator, or you can try to do it as mental math. I'm going to go ahead and do it as mental math. And I know that that's going to give me 63.2 degrees. Okay, because the 0.2 plus the 0.8 is 1. That would move that up to 27. Plus 3 would be 30. Plus 60 would be 90. The supplement of n. Now, a little bit trickier here because we've got 2y plus 20. But we remember that this is how we find the supplement, 180 minus x. Well, what if x is not an x at all? What if it's not a number at all? What if it's an angle? So the measure of angle n is equal to 2y plus 20. Well, what does that do for us? Let's see. That's going to be 180 minus 2y plus 20. Okay, so 180 minus 2y minus 20. Because remember, this negative, we're subtracting everything, is minus. Okay, so I've got 160 minus 2y is the supplement of n. Okay? So it doesn't matter if it's not a number. If it's letters and numbers together, if it's a variable expression, that's okay too. Now, little something for you to do. Go ahead and try this one on your own. See what you can do with it. I'm going to let you pause, but then I'm going to come right back and help you out doing this one. Okay? Complement of E. Well, the measure of angle E is 7x minus 12. Okay? So what that gives us is we can find the complement by saying 90 minus 7x minus 12 is equal to. Now remember, this negative is the same as saying plus a negative 7x plus 12. So I've got 90 plus 12 is equal to 102 plus a negative 7x. That's my complement. Supplement is 180 minus 116.5. That is going to give me 63.5. Doing a little mental math there. Okay? It's good for the brain. I like it. I like it. Makes me happy. All right? Now, something a little bit different. We're going to use verbal expressions to try to help model these situations where we're finding supplements and complements. Stick with me. This is going to be a little bit challenging, but it's going to stretch the brain. Okay? What it says is that an angle measures 3 degrees less than twice the measure of its complement. Find the measure of its complement. We're going to set up a variable expression to try to model this. So I've got some angle, an angle. I'm going to call it x. Okay? So x is 3 less than what I actually want. So let's see what this actually means. X is 3 less than this. Okay? So it's 3 less than this. Well, what does that mean? What is this? Twice the measure of its complement. Well, what's the complement? I don't know. But I know that to find a complement, I do 90 minus my angle. So that's my complement. Okay? That's my complement. Well, the problem says twice the complement. And I know that the angle, or x, is 3 less than that. So 3 less than that is equal to the angle. So twice the complement, 2 times the complement, minus 3 is equal to x. Well, let's see what we get when we distribute. We have x is equal to 180 minus 2x minus 2x minus 3. X is equal to 177 minus 2x. I'm combining like terms here. I'm going to add 2x to both sides. So I've got 3x is equal to 177. I divide by 3, divide by 3. I get 59 is equal to x. Now, think for a minute. What is it asking me to do? It's asking me to find the measure of the complement. Well, like we talked about, we're talking about multiple step problems here, okay? Multiple step problems. Well, if x is 59, then the complement is 90 minus 59 equal to 31 degrees. Okay? Equal to 31 degrees. This is the answer to the problem. I'm even going to circle it in green. Watch me go. Green means go. Good stuff. Okay? If you think you can tackle the next one, go for it. I'm going to keep going on. Explaining. An angle's measure. What angle? We don't know. We'll call it x. It's 12 more than what? Well, it's 12 more than half the measure of its supplement. Remember that supplement there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust this because x is 12 more than this thing. So in order to get them equal, I have to add 12 to this side because 12 more than this much here. 12 more than that is equal to x. So we go on and distribute. X is equal to 90 because 1/2 times 180. 90 minus 1/2 x plus 12. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to combine like terms. X plus 1/2 x is equal to 102, which is 90 plus 12. So 3 over 2 x is equal to 102. And so I'm going to divide by 3 over 2. Make sure you're keeping it in parentheses. Divide by 3 over 2 on both sides. So x is going to be equal to 70. Now, 68. X is equal to 68. What does this do for me? What does this do for me? Now, I've got a certain amount of leeway here. Not leeway, but what we're actually doing is I'm checking my math here. I think I found a mistake. How does this work? Let's see. See, even sometimes I get confused about what I'm doing. So 90 minus 1/2 x plus 12, 102. So let's see. No, that's right. That's right. Okay, we've got it. We're good. Okay, so x is 68. What is it asking me? It's saying find the measure of the angle. So am I done? That's what I need to ask myself at the end of the time. Find the measure of the angle. What angle? This angle that I assigned the value of x. Yes, I am done. Good. Once again, see if you can try to get the third one. I'm going to roll through it. Here we go. An angle is 10 more. We're going to do it a little bit differently this time. So if it's 10 more than something, I need to subtract 10 to make them equal. So something minus 10 is, so this is what I've used so far, equal to 3 times the measure of its complement, 90 minus x. Find the measure of the complement. Okay, so I've got 90 minus x. So what I'm going to do is 3 times 90 is 270 minus 3x. I've still got x minus 10 on this side. I'm going to add 10 to both sides. I'm going to add 3x to both sides. I'm combining like terms. So I've got 4x is equal to, this is done, I've used it, Used it. Equal to 280. So x is equal to 70. And if x is equal to 70, then the complement must be 90 minus 70, or 20. Find the measure of the complement. The complement is 20. 20 degrees. Okay? A lot of writing up here. Kind of confusing. You really need to go back and watch this again if you are having struggles. Okay? Tomorrow we will watch the next half of this video entitled Pairs of Angles 2. Be there. Thanks for watching.